So, should I think this last bauble green, hence bleen, or Grue, hence blue? Obviously, you should think that it's green. All of them have been green up to now. Probably this one's green. That's basic. He is entirely wrong. Obviously, it's going to be Grue. They've all been Grue in the past. Why not think that the last one's Grue? Well, is there anything that you people can tell me or say to me to persuade me that you're right? Well, think about it like this. When we defined Grueness, when that person defined Grueness, he defined it in terms of a particular time. We made reference to a particular arbitrary time, this June the 8th, and this particular time, 4:09 on June the 8th. Of course, we shouldn't expect properties that are defined with reference to particular times to be projectable. Of course, we shouldn't expect these special, intricate little kinds of patterns to extend beyond the particular times. That's just how things are. That's not true at all. So certainly, if you wish to, you can define Grueness and bleenness in the way you did, using the chart that you did. Yes, and there, Grueness and bleenness are defined in terms of greenness and blueness and this arbitrary time, 4:09. But we can just as well define greenness and blueness in terms of Grueness and bleenness. Here's the chart we use. Something is green if and only if it's Grue and first observed before the magic time, or bleen and first observed after the magic time. Something is blue if and only if it's bleen and first observed before the magic time, or Grue and first observed after the magic time. It's perfectly symmetrical vis-a-vis definitions. The point is, there's a kind of conceptual priority here. In order to understand what it is for a thing to be Grue, you first have to understand what it is to be green. Whereas I can perfectly well understand what it is for a thing to be green without first understanding what it is for a thing to be Grue. So, in that sense, the concept of greenness is more primitive than the concept of Grueness. And of course, we should be performing induction on the more conceptually primitive properties. That's just good science. That's just not true. You may have understood first what it was for an object to be green and what it was for an object to be blue, but I couldn't make sense of those ideas at all until I first had an understanding of Grue and bleen. For me, those were the first things I understood. I understood what it was for an object to be Grue, what it was for an object to be bleen. Then later, somebody showed me a chart, rather like the second one we just saw, and I thought, yes, I'm at this strange property, greenness. I understand what it is now. But for me, the conceptually primitive properties are Grueness and bleenness. Well, wait a second. We can understand greenness and blueness just in terms of, say, wavelengths. Green light is, green things are things that reflect light of around, wavelength around 510 nanometers. Blue things are things that typically reflect light of wavelength around 475 nanometers. That's a way of understanding what it is to be green and what it is to be blue. But we can understand Grue and bleen in terms of Grueness and bleenness in terms of wavelengths of light. A Grue thing is a thing that typically reflects light of wavelength 510 nanometers. A bleen thing is a thing that typically reflects light of wavelength 475 nanometers. Well, what's this wavelength? What is a wavelength? Let me try to explain in terms that you will understand. Light has wavelength 510 nanometers when it has wavelength 510 nanometers and is emitted by an object viewed before the magic time, or it has wavelength 475 nanometers and is emitted, comes off the surface of, an object that's not viewed before the magic time. Light has wavelength 475 nanometers, if and only if it has wavelength 510 nanometers and is emitted and is by an object that is viewed after the magic time, or it has wavelength 475 nanometers and is emitted by an object that's viewed first before the magic time. Now do you understand wavelengths? I have great difficulty understanding wavelengths. Stop! Away they go. What this dialogue illustrates is that there's no internal incoherence in the person who projects on green, nor in the person who projects on Grue. One of them, after all, one might think, must be right. I mean, after all, this bauble is a colour and it's a schmuller, and it's either green or it's blue. It's either Grue or it's bleen. So it's going to turn out that one of these people is right and the other person is wrong. But they're not going to be able to show that they're right or wrong just by appealing to the internal consistency of their positions. They both have perfectly internally consistent positions. And a complete agnostic who had no initial prejudice in favor of either is going to have a very difficult time being shown that one or the other is right. So, what should we think about this? We're not agnostics. You came to this with a strong inclination to think that the green person was right, that we should be projecting on green. What we should think is that we are right. We should think that we're not only is this almost certainly green, but we're right in thinking that, but we're not able to give a non-circular justification for our position. It's very like as it was with Hume's problem of induction. Just as we can't give non-circular justifications for the supposition, for supposing that patterns that we see instantiated in observed things continue into unobserved things. So we can't give non-circular justifications for supposing that some patterns continue and others don't. We're just licensed, justified in supposing that they do. And that is the position we find ourselves in epistemology. Last thing. It's only fair to check. The magic time has passed. It's 4:15. We can look at that last bauble. Who was right? The green projector or the Grue projector? The last bauble is... it's Grue. Turns out that the Grue projector was right this time. That's it for epistemology. Next time we'll talk about consciousness.